Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of In the Lead Off the Record. I am Kyle Cheslock. This is Chase Shields for our newcomers out there. If this is your first time joining us, thank you. Definitely appreciate it. If you ever have any questions for anybody out there, feel free to chat into us. We do watch this as we're doing it, so love to hear those questions from you guys. Coming back to the people that are new to this, we do these every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. We pick different topics. Sometimes it's what's on our mind currently in our conversations from customers, from people like you commenting to us, and we kind of discuss it, get feedback on things to help your business. So we got a pretty hot topic today that kind of piggybacks off of what we've been talking about lately, and it all centers around online leads. But before we dive into that, feel free to give us a like on Facebook. We're also on all the other social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, all at the Lead Tool. If you're audio, like listening to a podcast on your way to work, check us out on SoundCloud or iTunes as well. So that's enough of the spiel, if you will, before we dive into it. But like I was saying, we got a pretty good topic today. We're going to be talking about online leads, why they're different, and how you should handle them. So I know that's something that in my conversations with a lot of dealers and yards out there, get asked quite frequently. Why they're different, how they need to be handled, and I think we got some good things for you guys today. So, with that being said, Chase over here has got a ton of experience. Pretty much that's all you did during the downturn when you were working in the auto industry in terms of handling online leads, right?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So, I think it was like 400 leads that you were working with.
Yeah, a month.
Yeah, a month. So 400 leads. I imagine not many of you are going to be rocking 400 leads a month. If you are, fantastic. Love that.
Yeah, probably no one in this industry is going to be.
Yeah. So, but it's different than that customer that walks into your door or a legacy customer of yours that's just a repeat buyer. That's why they need to be handled a little bit differently. In my opinion, the biggest thing is your response time.
Yeah, a lot of that, and I think like the other really important distinction to make is that when we talk about handling online leads, like understand that behavior, like in 5 years, it's not going to be just online leads.
Yeah.
Like everyone's going to behave this way.
Well, think of yourself as a buyer too, guys, and we talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
Think of yourself as a consumer first. What are your expectations from the brands you buy from, and kind of how your buying habits are today? And you can point your finger at a lot of different things. The easiest one for me to point my finger at in terms of changing these buying habits is Amazon. We talk a lot about that, but it's just the expectations have changed exponentially from the 90s to the early 2000s or even 2 years ago.
Well, and it all goes back to convenience, which is why all this is going to trickle over. In fact, I'll give you a good example. And obviously, this is kind of lower level, but the same behavior is going to trickle over. So I got a Walgreens yesterday. I got a
pretty reputable brand.
Pick up some stuff, and I go to check out. I think I was picking up like new razors and like a sinus rinse because I have bad allergies, right? So
pretty normal stuff.
Get up to the cash register, and the the person standing there to ring me out was like, "Oh, our systems are down. We can only take cash and check right now." And I'm like, okay, like no thanks.
First of all, how many people do you know carry cash on a consistent basis?
Well, no, and that's one of the big problems, and this goes back to and beware of this. This could potentially even like creep into anyone's business, particularly. Right now it's probably more of a factor on your lower ticket like hardware items.
Yeah.
But like, if you have an old school payment system that's relying on like your old school internet connection or even your great like fiber optic connection, that's cool. But like, what winds up happening is your internet at your building goes out, and if you don't have a cellular enabled like modern payment system like a Square, you lose the sale. So I went home and I ordered all that stuff on Amazon. So like now there's no reason, like those are probably the only 2 items I was still buying at Walgreens at this point. I started buying everything else on Amazon.
Yeah.
But like what the problem was and what we're getting at is it was a pain in the ass for me to drive 10 minutes each way to the store.
And that sounds small, that sounds trivial, I get it. It's not.
Yeah, but I'm busy. Like, I'm actually busy. I work 80, 90 hours a week.
Exactly.
You know.
And even people that aren't working 80, 90 hours a week, which is a lot of people out there, they're just not going to, there's easier ways
it's
to
not
get
that you're
what you
busy,
want.
it's just you don't want to do it. So my point is Amazon sells, again, we've talked about it selling convenience. Online vendors sell convenience. So you got to make sure you're being convenient. That's my point. So it's inconvenient for me to have to come back to a store. It's inconvenient for me to have to go to a store that doesn't have like a payment system that, oh, my hardwired internet or wireless internet connection goes out. I can flip over to the cell network, which you can do on any, you know, mobile payment system. And I was just down in South Carolina, and damn near every retail shop I went into was running on Square or like Clover, something that was on an iPad, which has the ability to go both cellular and
Internet-based.
yeah, Wi-Fi and internet, you know, your cable internet base. So anyway, you know, the key there and is that if it's inconvenient, people aren't going to do it. They're getting used to convenience, and that's why, you know, we're still in 2017 sort of separating like online leads from everything else, but really the behavior is just going to become common across the board. So that's why like response time is so important, because people want to deal with stuff like when their mind is on it. They don't want to.
That's why they're reaching out, right? And
Yeah.
you get an online lead requesting information about your product, whatever you're selling, but you don't respond for 24 hours. Why do you expect to get that sale?
Right. And that's the whole thing is, again, it's all convenience. Like, people are busy. Everyone says they're busy. It's like
I feel like that's become like the code for just I don't want to do
like
that.
if you're not working 100 hours a week, you're not busy. If you're not like working 100 hours a week and raising kids, or working 100 hours a week raising kids, like you
work 8 hours,
you're
which is
not-
the majority of you guys.
Yeah, so
You got you know another 7 for sleep. What are you doing the other?
well,
9 hours?
outside, I'll give it to the lumber guys. They're all in the office at
That's
like
true.
6 a.m.
That's true.
Like, that's different. The
That's-
other
I mean,
industries
you
you work in, maybe not.
You got
Particularly
7 to 9 hours a day. Otherwise, with a lot of these industries.
Yeah,
that,
so like
what
you
are you
got
doing?
you really got to be on top of your online leads, and
By on top, we mean within 5 to 10 minutes. 30 minutes at the latest.
and weekends and stuff like that. That's why, like, we were, you know, in the e-commerce white paper we're working on, you're probably going to want to designate someone to handle your online leads, or a team if you're big enough, because you're going to have to answer inquiries on the weekend. You're going to have to answer inquiries at night. Like, it's going to have to be someone who's not of the mindset
Clock in, clock out.
you can, clock in, clock out. Oh, the showroom hours or whatever,
9 to 4.
or the yard hours or whatever.
That doesn't cut it, because I got news for you. Amazon's open 24 hours. Home Depot, Lowe's are up until 10 every night.
Well, even taking that out of the equation, any savvy online, any savvy like competitor of yours that has an online operation, they're just going to respond. And I know that because like that's what we were competing with other brick and mortar stores doing e-commerce, and we were winning deals based off response time alone.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to make sure that for your online leads that you're responding immediately. I mean,
And this doesn't matter if it's about a paint can that you have on stock or
Yeah.
$5,000 worth of flooring that you're selling. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and again, like, it all comes back to the priority being the customer. I mean, I've had some interesting conversations lately that have kind of made me want to catch a brick with my face, to the extent that, you know, you hear people whining about things like, you know, oh, I got to enter the information twice, or it's this, or I can't do this until I don't have to, like, it's like, okay, cool, like, and you're talking about you get online leads from your site and you're not using a system to manage, like, you don't have a CRM in place to manage that because you can't find one that integrates with your 25-year-old ERP, like, guess what? Your customers don't care. Like, because someone's going to respond to that lead more quickly than you are because they have the system and processes and people in place.
Well, the average consumer is going to 16 to 20 websites today to get this information before they visit 2 to 3 shops. So, if you don't have an area on your website to capture their information, on different portals of it,
Yep.
I mean, you're shooting yourself in your foot right there. So that's a good place to start to get these leads. Second is, to your point, it's important to either have a dedicated person if if you're a smaller shop, if you're a bigger shop, it may be a team of people, whatever it may be. You need to figure out how many leads that person can handle, which is something that we talk about.
Yeah.
Because for you guys, there's about 200 each. Like we said, you're probably not getting that kind of volume, but either way, a person that's going to be on the clock, it doesn't matter what time it is, to respond to these people, because that's when they're looking for information, is when they request it. You need to filter it down into, if you don't have a CRM, put an actual email, not sales at Kyle or at leadtool.com or whatever.
Yeah.
Like people want to talk to people. That's the beauty of still being in retail. You're a people-oriented business. They want to talk to you. That's why they're reaching out. But you gotta respond fast.
Yeah, so you gotta respond immediately is the big thing. And I had something to say, something that you mentioned, but now I can't remember what it was. That was going to be a segue into the next part of this. Damn it.
Why are you thinking of that?
I can't.
Because I am known for cutting people off and
which you just did.
And their thoughts.
So pause. Anyway, the big thing is number one, you gotta respond immediately.
Yeah.
Number two, the other thing, and now I remember what it was, is understand that you're dealing with a much more informed consumer or customer when they're coming in online. So this garbage where people don't want to publish prices, or they don't want to give a price, or they don't you can't do that, because everywhere else that these customers are going online, for the most part, if they're shopping at a box store or an Amazon, that they're publishing prices.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to get away with this, I'm not going to quote you until XYZ.
They already know what the price
is. And particularly, think about this too, because coming down the line, I get the feeling a lot of people aren't thinking about the fact that, the next thing that's going to go away for retailers that are in lumber, building materials, and stuff like flooring, where you do these on-site measures, the next thing that's going away is the on-site visit. And let me tell you exactly why. There's at least one window company that I know of that's grown explosively that will give you an estimate, a quote within, I think it's their hallmark is within 15 minutes for replacement windows, by using Google Maps or Google Earth to look at your house, and they literally generate it like that. And you can actually, there's software where you can take pictures of rooms and you can replace everything and get a CAD drawing. So for example, last week I was
even down to furniture. There's an app out there you can put furniture.
Right.
In. I mean, you name
and
it.
I was on site with a pro sales top lumberyard, and we were going through kind of the kitchen and bath. And when you go to a kitchen and bath showroom, it's not like you have to have this stuff in stock. You're looking at samples. So the next thing that's going to happen is why travel to the showroom? I can do all this over the phone, over the internet, from my house. If I need to look at a sample, you can send me a sample.
Yeah.
So that's going away.
So this is good right here, because I do want to talk about kind of goes into our topic today with how you handle these leads are different than the walk-in lead. Your role has just changed. It's evolving, right? It's not, you don't sell like you did in the 90s anymore. To your point.
Well, some people do.
Yeah, some people do. That sucks, but some people do. You shouldn't. If you do, you shouldn't. More informed consumers. You don't have to necessarily sell the product per se anymore. You got to sell the experience. Why should they come with you when you're 10% more than what they can do at Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever it is? Whatever your value prop is, and it shouldn't just be.
Well, and how hard is it for them to establish that you're 10% more? I mean, if you're making them jump through all sorts of hoops.
Exactly. They're going to choose, they may pay more because it's more convenient for them. It's easier to understand. So it's grouping it all in one price instead of having this price, and then you got the delivery fee, you got the install fee, you got the service fee. It's going to deter consumers all day long.
Well, and the other thing, in the last piece, at least from my perspective, because I think there are three key points: the response time, how informed consumers are, and the fact that salespeople, you're actually going to have to work to sell online leads. I got bad news for you. And I know that like a lot of people out there, they don't want CRMs because basically, again, was talking with this Pro Sales Yard, same thing. People don't want the fact that they're bullshitting about being busy to be transparent. And that's what technology does to salespeople, is it basically calls their bullshit because there's a log of their activities. You know, oh, I'm busy, I'm doing this. Like, you can cover that up when all your information's on a notepad. You can't cover it up on a CRM, so that's why, like, hate to say it, but your typical salesperson in the industry is not going to be what you want to handle your online leads. The big thing, the big thing, because I know you're about to interrupt me, sit on it. The big thing there is that you're going to have to work. You're going to need to follow up more than once, because again, if you don't hit that 15 to 30 minute window, you're going to need to try to get a hold of somebody 5 to 7 times, because you're going to have to get them when, number one, they're available and they feel like setting up their phone or picking up their phone, and number two, when it's convenient to them. So like, this is, online leads are all about, again, your customer. They're not about you. They're not about like what's convenient for you, what's easy for you. They're all about what's convenient for your customer. And you're going to have to work sometimes. Again, you know, I know salespeople love sitting on the floor playing free cell, cruising Facebook, doing all that crap. But you're actually going to have to pick. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's what they do. Like, I worked retail. I know that retail salespeople say they're busy. They 9 times out of 10 aren't doing jack shit. A showroom is not busy 8 hours a day. Like,
as a manager and owner, though, you shouldn't take that bullshit either. You know, if they're telling you you're being Big Brother, if they're telling you they don't want to use it, they're telling you it's extra steps to slow you down, that's bullshit. That's all the more reason for them not to be as transparent with you. I mean, they're sucking up your monies with it.
Well, you know, yeah, and then that's the smart thing to do, and basically be like, get out, because long term you're gonna lose with that staff. But the other thing is, you know, and I saw it, like, you put in a savvy group, like a very like motivated, driven group or person to do the online leads. Give them all the online leads and let them
run. Let them run.
And they'll basically, you know, they'll essentially run the other people out. I've seen that happen, because like the other people don't want to work, and then they complain, well, this person gets all the online leads. Well, your ass doesn't pick up the phone 5 times to try to get a hold of somebody. You call and leave a voicemail and you say you're done. So you are going to have to work with these online leads. It's in the lead response management study. It takes more dials to qualify, more emails, more touches through social channels.
Like 8 or 9 touches.
Yeah, you need to, like, you're going to have to work. So not only does your response time have to be fast, you've got to be transparent about your offering, and you're going to have to work. So it's, and realistically, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, this all theoretically, like, makes your job really easy, because all you're doing is you get a new lead, you've got a system in place, you get a new RFQ, whatever you want to call it. You respond to your customer quickly. You be super transparent with your customer, which is doing nothing but telling the truth. That doesn't get easier than that.
Yeah.
And then you also, you know, you just make sure that if you don't get a hold of them right away, you just follow up with them until you do. Well, really, that's like, there's no secret to managing online leads other than that.
So that, you bring up a good point. What kind of cadence should people be thinking about when it comes to following up? Let's say I got an online lead in, I call them, leave a voicemail, obviously they didn't answer. Should I be calling them the next day? Should I be calling them, you know, every day for the next 5 days?
You should. So there should definitely be like a multi touch cadence. So you want to aim for over a 7-day period. I would personally aim for, like, where I've statistically seen reps be the most successful, like in what we saw when we were doing it, was at least 10 touches per lead, which usually breaks down to like 10 touches over like 7 days. So
and touches are phone call,
communication,
text,
email. So basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to probably have like 4 days of contact. So first day they come in, you want to call, leave a voicemail, and send an email. The next day you're going to want to call them and email them. Mm-hmm. Then 3 days out, then probably 5 or 7 days out, you're going to want to do the same thing again. So it adds up to be somewhere between 8 to 10 contacts or touches per like online lead, and that's where you'll actually start to see the traction. Because I know that if I didn't get a hold of somebody right away, even if we were like on top, and we averaged, I want to say we averaged like a 15-minute response time.
Yeah.
And we tracked all that, like all of this.
That's with 200 leads each that you're managing on top of
so don't
what
tell
you
me,
had the week before.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me you don't have time to do this.
Yeah, don't tell me your sales reps are too busy.
You're probably getting 10 a week, 10 a month for some of you.
Yeah,
some less, some a little bit more, but either way, it's not a high volume. But theoretically, this should be a shorter sales cycle because they've already done their research. You got them in the store. If they respond, obviously you pick them up on the phone, and your cost of acquisition should be less.
Yeah, the cost of acquisition is all going to kind of depend on the
response.
What goes
in.
Yeah, and what marketing brought them in.
So again, it just depends. You can figure it out.
Because it could be.
But either way, it's you know, it's different than what they walk into the door.
Right. So yeah. So to that extent, you know, I think you know, it's. I really don't know if it's always a shorter sales cycle. I think a lot of the time it may be, I mean, that I can think of, I only worked a few sales like a super long time.
And of course, it's got to be worth it, right? I mean,
right.
You're talking about selling a Corolla versus a Porsche.
Right, and for, yeah, and I mean...
Or you know, $500 of flooring and $20,000 of flooring. You're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
it's all relative. You got to know what your audience and who you're selling, what their interest is, and what they're buying, and that'll tell you a lot.
And basically with online leads, you want to work them until you get a hold of them, and they tell you no, because again, I think I want to say your close rate on online opportunities is going to be like, at least for us, you were killing it if you were doing like 10 or 12%, whereas like walk-in traffic's like closer to 40%. Which is like why everyone loves walk-in, but the problem is like, again, walk-in's going away. So this is all, you know, this is where the whole boat's headed this direction. So yeah, so the cadence really, we would do day 1, day 3, day 5, and day 7, I think was ours.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was days 1, 3, and 7. But definitely.
And there's probably some play in that too for you guys. You know, you'll figure out what works in terms of getting people to respond to you. So this it shouldn't be set in stone. It's constantly evolving.
And this is why e-commerce is such gravy, because like you skip the whole process if you have an e-commerce site, because people can actually transact with you. So and I think in a lot of cases, a lot of this probably could go to e-commerce. But yeah, so I would just focus on when you're managing your online leads, first and foremost, focus on your response time. Second of all, after that, I would say focus on the contacts, how like getting in touch with them, because if you don't get in touch with them, you don't have an opportunity to do the last thing, which is be transparent, so you can actually close the deal. And I guess there's one more thing I would add. Do everything in your power when you do get a hold of someone to get them on site with you, or to get to them, because that's where we always saw the close rate skyrocket.
Yeah.
If we were setting appointments and all that, I mean, that was for us. It was the that was where like it all came from. But
I mean, that's why you have these online leads to begin with, is to drive that kind of traffic back in. But from a manager and ownership standpoint, to kind of switch gears a little bit, you know, you're spending the marketing dollars to obviously drive these online leads in. You know, one thing I just encourage you to do is have some kind of system, some process in place that you can log all these leads that are coming in and tie it to an end result. I think that's something a lot of people do not do.
It's something a ton
you
of
have
people
no
do.
idea.
Yeah, it's something that a ton of people do, and oddly, like they prioritize like back-end accounting systems over spending, you know, 7 figures a year on marketing and figuring out where the hell's my $1 million going.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's like, if you're budget conscious, that's really reckless. If you got the money to burn, totally cool. Like,
Earn it.
eat your heart out, but you're definitely going to need for online, because of the response time and the touches. You're definitely going to need to be on like, you're going to need to have some sort of CRM in place.
Yeah, you got to know.
You know, probably one that's going to integrate with your website.
That'll also help you too if you choose one guy, give all these leads to, but you find out that there's a bottleneck somewhere in his sales process. That'll give you an idea of what the end result with all those leads are, and you can position it for somebody else in the organization.
Yeah, where's the bottleneck?
Yeah. So again, it's about not necessarily. It is about working harder to an extent, but it's working smarter too. It's making more informed decisions about who should be getting these leads, how they're being followed up with, how many times they're being followed up with, and then obviously what that end result is. You know, hopefully a closed sale, or if not, you'll be able to make some adjustments in your process.
Yeah, and when you map out, there's like the online sale process is going to be different than the walk-in sale process. So like, you probably need to set up kind of a different like sales process for online leads, because it is going to be higher touch, and it is like all about getting people into the showroom. And then you also have a lot of like electronic stuff at your disposal if they're coming in electronically to gather information, like post-sale surveys, like all stuff that like a CRM can help you do. That's why you want really that full. You need to be able to capture that full life cycle inside your CRM system.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Lee, my man, I love you. Lee wrote in, this meaning the convenience factor, the time to purchase is usually 3 to 4 months in flooring, and with all that, I think it's going to be slower to lose the walk-in traffic compared in contrast to Walgreens purchases you mentioned.
Yeah, it very well may be. I mean, the cool thing about all this is it all plays out long run.
Yeah.
So
this is obviously about setting up today for you, but also going into the future.
Yeah.
In terms of what you're going to be able to drive in, how consumers are buying, where they're coming from. It's about having a little bit of vision down the road. Obviously, you're going to have some walk-in traffic still. You know,
of course you are.
Will it ever 100% go away? No. I mean, obviously, people like to touch, feel, all that good stuff. But this is, again, just another area for you guys to capture business where consumers' eyeballs are already at.
Yeah, and I think, look, who knows as the traffic will decline. All we know is that over time, it has
where the trend is.
And again, it's just and like I said, like the cool thing about all this is it all plays out long term.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it all unfolds. We just kind of know the direction that it's.
So for guys like Lee that are crushing it right now and thinking about putting these processes in place, those are the companies that are going to win.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to be like, that's the fun thing about online sales too. Is that there's really no like half-assing it.
Yeah.
You're either really good at it and you kill it, or you've got a competitor who responds in 15 or 20 minutes instead of a day, who's gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah.
Like, or they'll respond on a Sunday.
Because remember, a lot of the business already in the industry is word of mouth, right? So who do you think that they're gonna start talking about when you're responding in 5, 10, 15 minutes and providing the great customer service you're already providing?
Well, here's the thing.
You're going to tell everybody.
And again, in industries where that's not prevalent, like that are still kind of like tech disabled, like a lot of these building material related industries, like the competition isn't fierce enough that they feel the heat yet.
Yeah.
Like for us, when we were selling, and this was again 10 years ago, like we would lose deals if we didn't respond within an hour. Like we literally, because again, we were selling, it could be $50,000 car, but it doesn't matter. There's more than one of them in the country. People don't care.
Yeah.
They want service. So
the crazy thing is, in the 90s, I bet it wasn't like that, right?
No.
Right?
Like
so that happened then. So real estate, that wasn't like real estate online leads back in the early 2000s. It was all word of mouth. And in the mid 2010, 2012, when the shift started happening, online leads are the biggest thing. Everybody's coming in online leads. So it doesn't matter your industry. It happens in that industry.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Obviously, some sooner than later.
As more and more people,
it's happening. They're used to buying a car. They're used to buying a house.
Well, but the other thing is, like, as more and more of your competitors get like with the online game, it's going to matter more because then you're going to have more competition operating in the space. I mean, it's easy if you're the only one that they can find online, which, I mean, I know for a fact, obviously, because Home Depot, Lowe's, but as the competition increases, you know, and I just, again, this is easy. I know this from experience because I lived it. That process, how you handle those online inquiries really can change the game. It's the difference between winning and losing. Yeah. Something as simple as response time. Yeah. And that's on big ticket items. Yeah. Not, you know, not small stuff and stuff that people would come in and see.
Again, because the research has already been done on the 2,000 square foot home that they're redoing their flooring for.
Or the kitchen.
Or they're looking to buy a new couch. Whatever it is.
Yeah, and what's crazy is I know of cabinet manufacturers and kitchen and bath remodelers that are looking at taking the whole design process, like online. So you can like literally, I think the way they were doing it was you photo the space, send it to them. There's
iPhones have 3D rendering on the company.
No, there's an interior design.
Zillow just invested in them, right?
Did they? Is that it?
The interior design company that has interior designers on staff. You take a picture of your room. And then you can select, the interior designer will design your room.
Unlimited revisions.
And it will actually place products, couches, tables in there.
Dude, that was hilarious.
And you can click on and buy.
So, my friend who...
That's insane.
My friend who runs a furniture manufacturing company that sells direct, he has an interior designer... And I guess they do something like that, and the designer buys everything on like Wayfair or something like that. So it's crazy because like you can take this. So I mean,
you may not hear it in your neck of the woods. You may not see it yet.
Yeah,
it's here, man. And the way this stuff works, it's exponential. Like it comes faster and faster and faster and faster as time goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think that's like the scariest part of all of this is like I look at where we were like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was and like the rate of change has gone
crazy.
So dramatic. It's like
that's why if you're able to capture these online leads on your website, if you don't have that already, and then filter it into a system like a CRM of anything of your choosing, or something to keep track of those leads, just anything. I beg you. But then filter it down to an appropriate person or team and have this process in place now, even though you may be getting one online lead now or 10 online leads, whatever that number is, you're setting yourself up to dominate your marketplace because I guarantee not many of your competitors are thinking about this, putting an emphasis on this, or actually doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly the time frames. Like the time frames on these reviews that I go on Yelp, Google reviews, it doesn't really matter where at in the country, but from what consumers are posting about these response times and showrooms and like all this other stuff that we'll get into at another time, like it's crazy. People aren't getting back to a simple question within 24, 36 hours or they never hear from them. Like, that's a surefire way to just never get the business.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, no doubt. But so three key things I would say for online sales. If you're getting RFQs, respond as quickly as you can. Understand you're probably going to have to follow up multiple times, and just be transparent. Understand that today's customer is very informed. They're doing business with other businesses that buy and sell and show their products online. Yeah. So just be ready. Be ready for that. And other than that, I mean, I think do those three things, you'll kill it.
You'll have some success for sure. So, and one last thing about responding, if you are busy, just a simple response that says, "Hey, I'm busy. I'll call you back in 10 minutes." Just respond.
So, yeah,
it doesn't matter what you say.
Personalize it. Yep. People talk about
get it. People understand.
Templates worked 20 years ago. They didn't even work 10 years ago. I can tell you that because I was using them 10 years ago. Yeah, right. So write personal responses to these people.
From your smartphone, from your like whatever. We all have that today. But those are the three takeaways, guys. Hopefully you have some good things in there for you. If you have any friends, colleagues, anything that you think this will help, feel free to share it far and wide. Like I said, we're on every social media outlet there pretty much is, except for Google Plus, which nobody uses. So all at the Lead Tool Guys Audio.
I think we even have a Google Plus.
Do we really?
Yeah.
That is insane. So So we're on Google Plus too, guys, if you're a Google Plus user out there. Otherwise, your podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Thanks for joining us today. Feel free to invite. We always love hearing from you, like our friend Lee down there. Otherwise, guys, for our friends down in the Carolinas and Florida, stay safe. For our friends down in the Houston and Texas area, we're pulling for you guys. Otherwise, you have anything else to add?
That's it, brother.
Awesome. We'll see everybody next week at 3.
Thanks.